Hello everybody, welcome to my presentation. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Adityawarman. I'm a graduate student in Master of Science of Management in School of Business and Management, Institute of Technology Bandung, Indonesia. My presentation is related with one of my courses. The title of the course is Advanced Statistics. It is under supervision of Mr. Oni Bibin Bintoro. The title of my presentation is Clustering the Countries Based on the Knowledge Economy Performance and Comparing it with the Groups of Countries Based on the GDP Real Income. The recent background. The development of the economy in the recent year has been changing from the natural resources-based economy and capital-based economy into knowledge-based economy. It can be seen that the countries that can maximize the result and the performance of their knowledge can get the maximum benefit from the globalization process. The grouping of the country in the world is usually used the criteria of GDP, especially GDP real income per capita. Based on this measurement, there are four groups of the country. They are the high income country, the upper middle income group, lower middle income group, and the low income group. The research objective. This research tried to analyze the clustering of the country in the world by using the criteria of the knowledge-based economy performance, and then this research tried to compare the result with the group from the GDP real income group result. Research question. There are three questions in this research. The first is, how is the cluster of the nation that will be created by using the performance of the knowledge-based economy indicator? The second, what is the dominance group of income country for each cluster of the knowledge economy-based country? The third, what is the relationship between each cluster with the group of the GDP real income? The research methodology. This paper uses statistical approach for creating the new group of the country. There are more two variables of measurement in this research, so this research used the multivariate statistic method. The method is the clustering. This research used the secondary data from the World Bank. Research limitation. The result of this research is just limited up to the dominant member of each of the cluster based on the income group. It doesn't analyze the kind of the correlation between the resulted cluster with the income group country. The theory of the knowledge economy development. Based on the neoclassic school of thought of economy, there are four important elements for the economic development. The first is human resource, the second is natural resources, the third is capital formation, and the fourth is technology. The World Bank has defined the knowledge economy as the economy system that uses the knowledge as the main engine. There are four important pillars. The first is economic industrial regime, economic system pillar. The second is education pillar. The third is innovation pillar, and the fourth is ICT pillar. This is the data of the group of countries based on the GDP real. The data is for 145 countries. From this graphic, we can see that there are four groups of countries. In the first group, high income group of countries, there are 45 countries. In the second group, upper middle income countries, there are 34 countries. The third group, the lower middle income group country, there are 42 countries. And the fourth group, the low income country group, there are 24 countries. The data of knowledge economy performance. The data of the knowledge economy is got from the World Bank. There are totally 6 variables that we measure for the knowledge economy performance. The 4 pillars and then the knowledge index and the knowledge economy index. This data is analyzed by using the knowledge assessment methodology. Knowledge assessment methodology is an online methodology for measuring the performance of a country in the aspect of the knowledge economy. The statistical analysis process for clustering. The method for clustering, because we have known the number of the clusters that we want to create for cluster, we use the K-mean method of clustering. We done it by using the SPSS software version 20. This is The statistical analysis process. From this table, we can see that there are four clusters, first, second, third, and fourth cluster, and there are six variables: economy and incentive variable, innovation variable, education variable, ICT variable, knowledge index variable, and knowledge economy index variable. From this table, we can see the center for each variable in each cluster. The distance between final cluster center. From this table, we can see that for each of the cluster, there are four clusters, there are the distance between the center of the cluster. For example, the distance between the center of the cluster 1 and the cluster 2 is 10.777, and so on for the other cluster. The ANOVA analysis of the clustering. From this table, we can see that the result for ANOVA cluster mean square, ANOVA error mean square for each of the variables. The number of cases in each cluster. From this table, we can see the final result of the clustering. For the first cluster, there are 41 cases, or in this cluster, there are 41 countries that is included in this cluster. The second cluster has 32 cases, the third cluster has 36 cases, and the fourth cluster has 36 cases. The total number of the cases is 145 cases, and these all are valid. There is no missing value. The case processing summary. This table shows the validity of this clustering process. From this table, we can see that the validity of the clustering process is 100%. There is no missing value. So the total number of cases is 145. This graphic shows the result of the clustering process. From this graphic, we can see that for the cluster 1, there is 41 countries. For cluster 2, there is 32 countries. And for cluster 3, there is 36 countries. And for cluster 4, there is 36 countries. The analysis of each of the cluster. The first is for the first cluster. From this graphic, we can see that the first cluster consists of only from two groups of countries. The first is high-income countries, and the second is upper-middle-income countries. The high-income countries dominated this cluster. It has 37 number of countries that is included in this first cluster. The upper-middle-income group countries only has 4 countries in this first cluster. The second cluster. From this graphic, we can see that this second cluster is dominated with the country from the lower middle income group country. It is 20 countries. And then the second is from the upper middle income group country. It is for 10 countries. And the third is from the low income group country. It only has 2 countries that is included in the second cluster. Analysis of the third cluster. The third cluster, we can see that it is dominated from the countries in the low-income group countries. It is about 22 countries. And then the member of this cluster is from the lower middle-income group countries. It is about 14 countries. The analysis of the fourth cluster. For the fourth cluster, we can see from this graphic that the dominated member of this cluster is from the upper middle income group countries. It has 20 countries that is included in this fourth cluster. The next is the countries from the high income group countries and the lower middle income group countries. It is about 8 countries each group of countries has in this cluster. This table gives the overall analysis of the fourth cluster. From this table, we can see the detailed information of the member of each cluster and the proportion of the countries group for each cluster. From this table, we can see that the total number of the countries is 145. It is the same with the first data that we use in this analysis. This graphic shows the distribution of the member of each cluster. For cluster 1, it only consists to country group, cluster 2, 3 countries group, cluster 3, 2 countries group, and cluster 4 from 3 countries group. The conclusion. The first, there are 4 country groups based on the income real GDP. They are the high income country group, the upper middle income country group, the lower middle income country group, and the low income country group. The knowledge economy performance can be measured by using the 4 pillars of the knowledge economy from the World Bank. They are the economy system pillar, innovation pillar, education pillar, and ICT pillar. The clustering process of the country based on the performance of the knowledge economy gives the result as 4 clusters of each country. Each of the cluster has a dominating group of income country. The first cluster is dominated with the country from the high income group. The second cluster is dominated with the country from the lower middle income group. The third cluster is dominated with the country from the low income group, and the fourth cluster is dominated with the country from the upper middle income group. The next research and practical implication. The next research. The following research that can be done about the correlation between the performance of the knowledge-based economy and the real GDP income. The practical implication. The result of this research can be used for studying the similarity and the difference between each country in its cluster. This is the reference that I use for this research from Peter Decker, from Samuelson, from the World Bank. Thank you very much for your attention and for watching my presentation.